Welcome to The Source, where we combine the headlines with in-depth conversations with the newsmakers themselves. Today on the program. A 94-year-old veteran lawmaker is gunning for a Senate comeback.
You must have a wide and deep intellectual background to perform your role as a senator of the Republic.
Saying he's still fit to finish another term.
Who knows? I might outlive the others who are in the Senate today. I'm not saying that I am immortal, but only God knows.
What are his Senate priorities?
Inflation, criminality, insurgency, and many other problems.
And how long will he respond to controversies hounding him? Former Senate President Juan Ponce Enrile joins us live. And later, space exploration goes to a whole new level, this time, planet Mercury. That's for today's In Focus. Thank you for joining us. I'm Pinky Webb. Colorful personalities, new and familiar ones, flocked the Commission on Elections to file their certificates of candidacy for the 2019 midterm elections. But one of those who filed is a former Senate President and Defense Chief who believes that he still needs to address some of the country's pressing issues, even at the age of 94. Also, his thoughts on the amnesty of Senator Antonio Trillanes, and is he standing firm on his recent statements on martial law years? Let's go straight to the source of the story, former Senate President. He's really doing well, huh? I mean, how are you, sir? Former Senate President Juan Ponce Enrile, kamusta po kayo?
Salamat, Pinky, at inanyayahan mo ako rito. Baka sakali ako naman ay kasagot sa iyong mga matatalim na katanungan.
Doon nga po ako, nag-aral ho talaga ako na mabuti dahil I know how smart you are. Let me start with this, sir. What happened? Why did you decide to run? Did this come as a I mean, it came as a surprise to a lot of people.
After I got out of the Senate in 2016, I immersed myself into studying, reading about our planet, geography, demography, energy, security, climate change, name it. And then also, I studied our country further. What are the problems we're facing? Are they easing or becoming more dangerous? And especially the proposal now that we have to change our constitution and shift our government from a unitary system to a less cohesive system called federalism. And because of what I learned during those 3 years, and because of what I learned in depth about the proposal to shift our government from unitary system to federalism, I would like to share what I discovered.
Does it mean that you are for charter change? Does it mean that you are for federalism?
Well, I am for anything that will make something better for the country.
Do you think federalism will be better for the country?
It could or it could not, depending upon the final outcome of our debates. You know?
But Senator,
you cannot say that this is a good system or that is a bad system. We have to analyze it and refine it, because nothing is perfect in this world.
But you said you studied it. You said you studied this, I mean, among other things, the past 3 years. What is a shift to a possible federal form of government? Would that be, in your study, in your analysis, be beneficial to the Philippines, or would it be not?
It could be beneficial if you remove some of the more burdensome features.
Such as?
The amount of money needed to set it up and maintain it. That is a function of taxation which will burden the people.
What else, sir?
And then the perpetuation of the system according to the provision on amendments that they're proposing.
Okay.
And second and third, the transitory provision that establishes a dictatorship. Pure and simple and absolute dictatorship.
So the transitory provision to you is plain and simple a shift to a possible dictatorship? Is that what you're saying, sir? Okay.
Because it combines, during the transition, all the three powers of government, executive, legislative, and judicial. There is no appeal, except the goodness, the integrity, and the restraint of the Transition Commission.
And that's a no-no to you. That is a complete
That is
no-no.
absolutely unknown.
All right, okay.
You will have 11 members of the Transition Commission, and the chairman is the incumbent president. Suppose he dies or becomes incapacitated, there is no system of succession. And if during that transition there is a war, nobody can declare a war for this country. And then the question is, who will collect money for the country during the transition? And who will disburse it? Only the Transition Commission. Suppose the president dies during the transition. You have 10 people
In the
who are
Transition
members of the commission selected by a search committee, and even that search committee is a problematic matter. Suppose those 10 people will say, well, we cannot do it in the time frame that the proposers have envisioned, and they prolong it. What will happen to the country?
So you studied...
Either you become a civilian dictatorship or a military dictatorship by necessity. Oh.
What would you have wanted to propose in the event, sir?
We have to, I'm not proposing, we'll have to debate it and change and put the safeguards.
There's just not enough safeguards right now in what has
For
been
instance,
proposed
in the
so
case
far.
of the amendatory provision of the Constitution that they're proposing, they say that federalism will be indissoluble, permanent. It cannot be changed, even by the people of the future. Why should we control the sovereign powers of the Filipinos in the future?
There must be...
I'm just citing some problems that...
that you
These
saw.
are only some of the problems. If you look at the totality of the proposal, there are so many problems that are embedded there.
All right. Okay.
And I
you
cannot discuss it all today.
Yeah, and there's a lot there, of course, that you already identified. So that was possibly one of the reasons that pushed you to run,
Correct,
sir. Okay.
correct.
When did you make this decision?
Oh, only a few days before the filing of the certificate of candidacy, I said, maybe this is the right time for me to participate in the debate during the campaign.
Yeah.
Because I imagine that, I surmise that the people might want to know what are the issues current in their lives today.
So just a few days before the fact that you filed the COC, the day after, because your lawyer filed this one in the beginning. We'll talk about that later, sir. So a few days before the filing of the COC, you decided. Did you talk to anyone about this, Senator? Did anyone oppose you running again?
I did not, I never talk to anybody when I do a plan.
No, nothing.
Nothing.
Kayo lang po. Kayo lang nag-isip.
Ako lang.
And then in the survey...
Not even with my family.
I'm sorry, sir?
Not even with my family.
So, but when you... Did it come as...
I thought about it. I thought through it before I finally decided to... I instructed my lawyers to prepare the certificate of candidacy where I became a woman.
A businesswoman at that, sir.
You know, there was a story about that. I think my lawyer said, first, the previous question, what's spouse?
Yeah.
Cristina Ponce Enrile.
Yeah.
And then occupation, they thought that the question refers to my wife, you know.
That's why it said businesswoman. Okay, what made you decide to go to the COMELEC the day after? Because you didn't know. Okay.
I intended to be an independent candidate. And then I was called by Jinggoy Estrada, and they said, Manong, you're a member of Pwersa ng Basa. Why don't you carry the party? You know, I did not consult ERAP or Jinggoy because nahihiya naman ako na gagamitin ko yung partido namin na hindi ko sila kinausap muna, no? But since Jinggoy voluntarily offered to me that I will use the name of the party, so I decided I will do it. So he sent me a CONA, and so I have to attach that CONA to my certificate, so I had to go to the COMELEC personally.
Was it also important to you, Senator, to show the people that you're okay, you're well, you can walk, you can do this, you're strong, ganun ho ba?
Well,
Did you think about that? That maybe it's a
yeah.
good idea to show up at the COMELEC office
Yeah.
and answer the questions of the media. And also to answer the questions of the media, because it. But
people thought that I am already decrepit, no? But I must tell you that I never ride the plane to go to my province. I ride a car for 15 hours.
your car must be very comfortable.
No, ordinary car.
A big car, I'm sure. Like, what is the car you
Just an
use?
ordinary SUV.
Yeah, an SUV. The one I guess you've been using for a while?
Huh?
The one you've been using for a while, your
it's
SUV?
the one that I'm using in coming here.
Okay. But are you at all worried? Because your name, I don't remember, sir, your name coming out in the surveys.
Well, I was not. I was not planning to run.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not concerned about the surveys, sir. I'll go to the people and present myself and present my views and present whatever little thing I know about the country and the planet and let them judge.
And you're strong enough to do that, sir? To go to the people and explain
The strength is relative. Physically, I can still manage, but maybe not as much as I used to be. I will change my system of campaigning.
How? How do you plan to do
Probably I will
this?
not join rallies. I will not join caravans. But I will go to the people and visit them in the markets, in the malls, in their houses.
That's the old way of campaigning, sir.
I will go to radio stations
I see.
and reach the people through those media.
Yeah. And I'm sure a lot of TV ads.
No, I will not spend much money this time. I cannot afford it.
Do you not have enough?
I do not have enough logistics, financial logistics.
Is that true, sir?
Yes, because, well, I am presenting myself as a candidate. I do not want to buy my position. When you spend money, so much money to gain a position, for what? Are you going to serve the people or make business out of it?
So you feel that people who spend so much on advertisements,
I'm not making an accusation. But today, to run for a public office is expensive.
Very expensive.
But I must confess, I cannot afford that.
they say,
Especially the cost of TV ads.
Yeah.
How much is a TV ad during prime time?
Yeah.
1 million per 30 seconds.
they say, sir, at least to some people I spoke to, that if you were to run for senator, you need about, I don't know, sir, 200 to 300 million pesos.
I do not have that. I must confess.
How much do you think you'll be spending for your campaign?
Whatever I can raise out of the finances of my family, and whatever other people can
Donate.
donate,
Abot kaya ho yan ng 100 million?
maybe even less.
Maybe.
Yeah.
We'll be taking a short break.
I will be very economical this time.
We'll be taking a short break. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Still to come, his thoughts on issues like the voiding of amnesty of Senator Antonio Trillanes, former Senate President Juan Ponce Enrile will still be with us after the break. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. Our guest today, former Senate President Juan Ponce Enrile. Critics are saying, sir, the reason that you were granted bail was because you cited poor health and elderly age. So now they're saying, if you cited poor health and your elderly age, how can you run for the Senate? Isn't that an irony of some sort, sir? Isn't that an irony of some sorts?
Why?
Because you cited poor health and your elderly age,
Well,
and then here you are throwing yourself to the campaign
my
ring.
health was really poor when I was confined, because more than a year, I had no exercise. I could not exercise in a little room where I was confined in Camp Crame. And maybe if I was not released from that place, I would be dead by now. I just gained my vigor because when I got out, I started a regimen of exercising every day. I jog, I move all my joints before I go down from my house. I walk. And because of that, I regained my vigor. And then I started studying, and I maintained the alertness of my mind.
You know, sir, some people are asking, what is your secret to having such a good memory or being sharp?
Well,
what is the secret to your
just to
long
give
life?
you an example, have you read Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam?
No, sir.
110 stanzas. I memorized that during those 3 years that I was out. And I can recite it word for word from the first stanza to the last.
What is the secret then, you think, sir?
I don't
To
know.
your long life. You're 94 years old.
Well, it's, you may laugh at this, but it's my faith in my maker. He's the one who dictates my time here on earth. He can make it short, he can make it long. He can make me like Methuselah.
Sir, all right, let me just bring this in because I remember way back, at least reports are telling us that the doctor who had checked on you when you were at the hospital, the PNP General Hospital, he said two things. You have chronic hypertension with fluctuating blood pressure.
Correct. That is why I have this. To tell me when my heart vibrates or when my cardiogram does not function very well. That's why I'm wearing this.
And because he said that way back you had chronic hypertension with fluctuating blood pressure, how are you now compared to the time before, sir?
My blood pressure with maintenance has stabilized from a range of 120 to 130 over 60 to 70.
Okay, so I want to talk about current issues then, sir. What are your thoughts on, well, number one, first issue, Senator Antonio Trillanes, the president, revoking or calling it ab initio his amnesty, the granted amnesty to the senator by President Aquino, former President Aquino?
It depends upon the facts.
What are the facts that you see, sir?
What was approved by Congress is an amnesty law which imposed certain conditions. And those conditions are factual to be done by the applicant. Now, if the applicant did not comply with those conditions, then there's something wrong with the amnesty that he obtained. So that is open to question. But the resolution of Congress stays. It's not revoked. It cannot be revoked by the president.
So what does that mean? You mean that the senator, there were conditions such as you need to apply, number one.
Correct. You have to recant.
And you have to, admit guilt.
Correct.
Okay. Now, I'm sure you were following this, Senator. The senator says he applied. In fact, there were news clippings that showed that
that is only an allegation that he applied. He must prove it by concrete evidence.
By showing?
Concrete evidence. He must have records of his application. Because if you apply, you must preserve those records.
Don't you, Senator?
You cannot apply without any record.
But aren't those applications submitted to the ad hoc committee, sir?
I don't know. I don't know the process. I've never applied for amnesty.
But would it make sense that an applicant would not have his application because it's submitted to the ad hoc committee? You apply, you submit.
But you must have a copy of your application, just like you're having your birth certificate or your marriage certificate or your voter's ID card.
Okay, I have to ask you this, sir. Some liken this or compare this to, because, there were a lot of comparisons to this application. Say, for example, sir, when you apply for a driver's license, You don't have your application form.
Well,
with
maybe
you.
for a driver's license.
When you
But
when you apply for a passport, you don't have your application
Oh,
form.
I have
with
my
you.
application.
I
always
don't.
keep.
Yeah.
Even your income tax return, you must have a,
Of course.
a copy. Oh.
Yeah. So you're saying that he should have had a copy.
Yes. Everyone must keep records of your
Next question.
transactions.
Okay, next question. Where is the burden of proof to prove
The burden
this?
of proof is on the applicant.
So it's with Senator Trillanes. All right. Other issues. Inflation, sir. And the train. Do you think train law was a good idea?
It has to be revisited. You have to ease up the tax burden on production, on power, on fuel, and one thing that you cannot remedy is the declining value of the peso and the rising cost of fuel. All of those will go into the quantum of prices.
Do you think that there is supposed to be, Senator, part 2 of the increase of excise taxes on petroleum products next year, sir? Do you think that should be immediately
Taxation
suspended?
is a function of government. It is the lifeblood of the government, but it must be calibrated in order not to make so burdensome on the people. You must leave something for the people to live and to consume, because if they do not consume, you have no economy.
Yeah. So can I get a straight answer? Do you think that the next tax on the excise tax on fuel should not be implemented next year in 2019, Senator?
Maybe you should give the executive some leeway to suspend it or reduce it, just like tarification, if there is a need for it in order to make life easier for the people.
So you're saying that the executive...
Because in this area, it is a competition between the people and government in
Yes.
the use of resources.
Yeah.
Which one will give way, the people or the government?
Which one should?
For me, the government should be the one to give way, but not all, because government also needs money in order to perform its service to the people.
I know this is a long conversation, but do you think that the train law so far, Senator, was a good idea or it wasn't a good idea?
I do not know, but all I can say is that the tax component, which is the function of the train law, must be reviewed, especially now.
All right. Again, we'll be taking a short break. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Please stay tuned. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. Our guest today, former Senate President Juan Ponce Enrile. So many questions still. Just this, sir. Senator Risa Ontiveros is saying that the 2019 polls is a battle versus national amnesia. Why? Because you have a Senate President Juan Ponce Enrile running. You possibly also have an Amy Marcos also running. Can you just have a quick reaction to that?
The polls?
The polls is a battle versus national amnesia.
National amnesia.
Yes.
Well, I'm not a psychologist or a doctor, but I will leave it to the people if they remember the name Enrile. I'm not really after the position that much, because I'm running. I'm doing this because I want to help the country, and the young generation especially, to bring out the issues in the course of the campaign. And hopefully, if I make it, I can help build new policies that will help the people in the future.
If you win, sir, would you even aspire to become Senate President again?
No.
No. All right.
I'm not aspiring to be anything.
And
I will perform my job as a senator.
And what happens if you lose? Would that be a disappointment for you? Would that hurt you?
No. No. It's a function of democracy. You can never win all the time.
All right. All right. Very quickly, sir. I think we have 2 minutes left.
Yeah.
This issue, this interview with former Senator Bongbong Marcos. Just, there were three things that I'd like to discuss, but we've run out of time. Is it number one, you said that, no one was jailed because of their political...
No one was?
Jailed because
No,
of
I did not say that.
Okay. You said,
What I
name
said-
me one
just a
person
minute,
that was
just a minute,
arrested.
Pinky.
Go ahead, sir.
What I said is that we never adopted a policy to kill people with impunity. There were arrests. There's no question. I signed them. There were abuses, just like abuses in other countries. If you are conducting a counterinsurgency or law enforcement, you cannot control all the people under you. There were, but we challenged them, we controlled them, we removed them from office, we punished them. Now, 30 years after EDSA revolution, why is it that until now, no one has gone to court under our system to challenge us about all these things that they are blaming us for? What I'm saying is, they have their story. I too have my own story. Even the dull or the ignorant, they too have their own story. Let the people judge in the future who has the truth. I do not claim that I have all the truths. I am just telling my story and my experience during the period.
But you said...
I never denied that there were people who were abused. I never denied that there were people who were arrested. What I denied was that that government where I work adopted a policy of killing people uselessly and needlessly.
All right. I wish we had more time.
There was a war. We did not start the war. We were protecting the country and the Constitution and the people from that war. What were we expected to do? Okay. Even now, that war is still going on.
All right, we've run out of time. I'm going to continue talking to the senator regarding that interview with BBM after our airing here. Maybe we'll still take that live on Facebook. Thank you, former Senate President Juan Ponce Enrile. Sir, maraming salamat po sa inyo. Thank you, sir, and thank you for joining us here on The Source. I'm Pinky Webb. You're watching CNN Philippines.